Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Hysteria, Season 1, Episode 1, Hysteria. So this show is a streaming show and it was created by Matthew Scott Kane. And it's on the Peacock streaming app. You know, it's crazy. I forgot all about this show. I saw the trailer about 2 weeks ago. I thought it was interesting. Then I completely forgot about it. I turned the TV on and it reminded me oh, this show's on Peacock at the bottom of my TV. I'm like, oh yeah, that show with Bruce Campbell and Julie Bowen and stuff. So, I checked it out because I don't watch nothing on Peacock, and I mean nothing. Because, ever since the app launched, I've had it on my TV, but I've never signed up for it. I was going to do the free trial they did years ago, but they don't do that no more. To tell you the truth, no streaming site, well, some streaming sites still do it, but they don't because they're stingy. And so I was only able to watch the first episode and the first episode only. And I'm pissed because this show is cool, man. And it's like, crap, I want to watch the other 7 episodes. So I'm all like, will I do it? Will I spend $8 just to watch one TV show? No. If it had more stuff on the site that I wanted to watch, then yeah, maybe. And if I had time, like New York Undercover, I wouldn't mind rewatching that. And I wouldn't mind watching the last episode of Chucky. But that's not enough for me to want to spend $8. So I'm going to wait till around November, Black Friday time, when most of the streaming sites have a discount. And I'll watch it then. I'm hoping the other 7 episodes are as good as the first, and if they are, man, this is an awesome series and stuff. And so, this series is doing for me what Sweet Pea so far has not. Now, I have Stars, and Sweet Pea is similar, kind of similar to this. Sweet Pea's about a woman who feels neglected. She's sad, she's shy, she's awkward, and she just wants to kill everybody in her life. I only got halfway into the first episode, and I don't even know if I want to finish it or not. Only because it's just I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just not really doing nothing for me, And I wanted her to get rid of the Stars app because I thought Abigail, that vampire movie, was on there, but it's not. So instead, I just watched Strangers Chapter 1, and I'm watching Imaginary. I am so bored with Imaginary. It hasn't even gotten to the point of what the movie's about because they're doing so much world building and crap. But anyway, let's get on to Hysteria. So Hysteria. I saw the trailer about 2 weeks ago. I saw Bruce Campbell, the legend, was in it. I'm all like, cool, I'll watch another Bruce Campbell show. Why not? I love watching Bruce Campbell TV shows and stuff. But then I'm all like, oh wait, his TV shows don't really do that well. They only last anywhere between 1, 2, or maybe 3 seasons. So I'm all like, I'll still give it a try. Why not? Support the man. So this is a drama thriller series and a little bit of horror. When I watched the trailer, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into. Then I watched the beginning part of the first episode. I'm kind of like, wait, isn't there supposed to be some type of supernatural element to it? So far, it just seems like a slasher. And not even really so much a slasher because it's not really doing no slashing. And so while I'm just watching, I'm like, hey, this is interesting, this is intriguing, but what the heck is this show really about? Because so far the trailer is letting me down because I thought this, and that was supposed to happen in the trailer, or at least in the series, and I'm not seeing it like I saw in the trailer. But then towards the end, they finally got into, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's a super, natural paranormal type element in here? I'm like, heck, why not? I'll deal for a tour, you know what I'm saying? Supposed kidnapping killer type thing and whatever this demonic thing is, hey, whatever, I'll go for it. I'll just watch and see what happens and everything, you know what I'm saying? And so this reminds me a little bit of Freaks and Geeks a little bit. I watched Freaks and Geeks back when it came on, but I really don't remember nothing about it other than all the then stars that are now super famous now and everything. And so what this show is about It's a small town in suburbia, and this is set in the 80s. But I believe the beginning part took place in the late 70s, I believe. But it revolves around the 1980s, a decade in which I was a baby and a little kid and everything. So I don't remember too much about the 80s. I remember more about the 90s and stuff. But so like apparently this is happening during the era of the satanic like panic era and everything, which was a real thing back in the day. By the time I got into the 90s, it was over and stuff. So apparently, this whole satanic panic arising was about pretty much like you always guess is teenagers rebelling against the man. They're breaking out from that, like, cookie cutter lifestyle that they're forced into by their parents. They disobey their parents. They want to be a little bit wild. They want to be a little bit more free. This was happening in the 60s and stuff. It's no longer people looking proper and prim and everything like that. Now you got the rebellious stage of like the 50s and 60s and stuff. And in the 70s, the grunge and rocker and the goth stuff started happening. I can't talk tonight. And the goth stuff started happening. And then, you got into like the 80s and more of the like rocker stuff started to happen and stuff. The 80s was more like in your face, smash mouth, like unapologetic, like we don't care, you know what I'm saying? Big hair, don't care, you know what I'm saying? And so like in the very, very, very late 60s and everything, parents was still the cookie cutter type, super religious, super conservative, stuff like that, and movies started to push the edge. Movies like The Exorcist, movies like Rosemary Baby and stuff like that. And parents are like, what the heck is this demonic stuff we're seeing? We don't want our kids and teenagers to see it, but of course they saw it anyway. And so parents started to fear, like, what if their kids and teens start like, being possessed by the devil or worshiping the devil and doing his bidding and going out doing who knows what, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. You know what I'm saying? And so like, literally parents would not let their kids listen to certain music, especially rock and roll music, heavy metal, because the metal people started to get into the whole goth thing, the big hair, coloring their faces and stuff like that. Kiss was around in like the 70s and everything, right? And I told you before, the movie Detroit Rock City, it was a time during the grunge and disco was like going away and rock and roll was coming in and grunge was coming in and Kiss was really huge around that time. And parents did not like Kiss because their name stood for satanic something, something or something. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember what it was. And that was a real huge thing in like the 70s that trickled over into that of the 80s and stuff. And so around the 90s, it stopped. But I remember when I was in high school and stuff, it was probably 2000 or maybe 2001. This one boy I knew who I used to ride the bus with, he dressed as Kiss for Halloween, and vice principal, she did not like that. And so I saw her drag him away as he had his face paint on and everything. And she took him to her office. And I'm assuming she made him take it off or probably called his parents. So some people were still kind of like that. I remember my friend banged that dude and took his virginity. She was probably a year or two older than him and just kept bragging about him about, wow, like I couldn't believe like how much he knew and he didn't know nothing. I was just like, why are you telling me this? I'm not one of your girlfriends. I'm your guy friend, but I'm not your female friend. You tell this crap to. So I was just like, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. And so, yeah, parents were very uptight around that time. And so this is like the setting of the show. parents are very uptight, they're very religious, and the show revolves around this one boy and his band of friends. So MJ Anthony plays Dylan, and he is kind of geekish, if you will, or a little bit grunge. I can't remember which is which. Okay, so I think he's a little bit of a geek, a little grunge and everything. His friends, his two friends, one is Spud, and he's kind of like the burnout. And the other one is Jody, and she is more of the goth and everything. And so, first, let me say, this is set in the 80s. It actually looks like the 80s. One thing I hate is when they set things in the 80s and it doesn't really look that way, like the Hardy Boys and stuff. But with here, they got most of the people's hairstyles on point. All of the adults have pretty much like, hairstyles you would see around the late 70s, early 80s. The younger people, however, not so much. Because you gotta remember, this is set in 1980, so they're coming off the 70s. So some people still have that 70s looking hairstyle. But if that's true, there should be more people with long, shaggy hair. Like white guys back in the day used to have long, shaggy hair in the late 70s or even the 70s and a little bit of the 80s. And black guys used to have afros and stuff. And I don't see too many afros. Now, one dude has a flat top, but it's a little bit like as a point. So that's okay, because that's around the 80s and stuff. But I don't see no other black kid having like an afro. And afros were really big around the 80s and stuff, and especially in the 70s. And what's weird is that one black kid in school, his hair is identical to the black dude from High School Musical and everything. That poofy afro curl shaggy look and stuff that looks like sideshow Bob. People in the 80s didn't have hair like that. And then the main dude, Spud, like, he has dreads. And I'm just kind of like, dreads really wasn't a thing until like the 90s and stuff. Yeah, you'll probably catch a few in the 80s, but not really. So for the younger people, their hair is not on point. But anyway, back to Dylan. So he is our main character. He's very geekish. He's like, grungish and stuff like that. And he has a very uptight conservative family. Julie Bowen plays his mother, and Nolan North plays his father. Now, Nolan North, he voiced Deadpool in all the animated stuff, and he was on Pretty Little Liars. And of course, Julie Bowen, she was in Modern Family. This is the first time I ever saw her take on a serious role. She's a really good actress, God, I loved her on Modern Family. And so, like, he's in the band with his friends, and his parents are worried, especially the mom, because teenagers are going missing. Now, early on in the beginning of the episode, there is a boy and a girl making out. The girl name is Faith. And so Faith, she is like, about to make out with her boyfriend, about to do some stuff. And then all of a sudden, somebody busts through their door wearing kind of like this owl-looking mask and a black outfit. They managed to get her outside, they managed to get him outside, but then there's another person out there as well, and they put them in the back of put her in the back of a van and him as well, and now they've disappeared. So parents are really worried, and they believe, especially the religious ones like Faith's mother, Tracy, she believes that like all of this is because of like satanic worship and everything, all this heavy metal and stuff like that. Now remember, in the 90s, they went from believing rock and roll music was demonic to thinking rap music is gangster and thuggish, and thought that was a bad influence. In the 2000s, they pretty much just stopped all this altogether, thinking music influenced people, because they realized, hey, rap music isn't necessarily making gangsters. Now, technically, yeah, a lot of the rappers did influence a lot of black kids, and a lot of them became ghetto, but so many of them did not become gangsters. Some, but not all. And when it came to rock and roll music, yeah, some got on drugs and was having sex, but not all of them. So they pretty much just stopped with the whole music thing. And then they went on to video games, and we remember what all happened to that, and certain school activities people should not be doing with certain weapons and stuff. And so it's always something different, you know what I'm saying? If it's not going to be music, it's going to be a video game. If it's not going to be a video game, it's going to be a television show. If it ain't going to be a television show, hey, it's going to be a movie. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, while at school, his friend Spud, I guess, was putting up pictures of something of the boy who went missing. This pissed off that boy's friend who's part of the football team. So he wanted to fight Spud, only for Dylan to step in and save his friend, which is kind of unexpected because he's such a dork. But he did it anyway, and he did it by playing into this whole satanic like cult thing, that's going around, the whole panic thing, saying that his band is all about like, spilling blood and worshiping and all and doing stuff for the devil and stuff like that. And something about that's what his band's all about when they're going to perform this and that. Well, the hot girl of the show, I forget her name, the popular girl. Her name might be Judith, I think. I'm not really sure. But pretty much like the popular girl's kind of like all into that and everything. And once he realizes that, he goes straight golf to where his friends make fun of him. Like he has the dog collar, the black fingernails, this and that. But he realizes she's really into that stuff. So he's getting more into that stuff. And his female friend Jody, she realizes that like, he's changing himself for her. The girl didn't even know he was alive until he started talking about this stuff. So anyways, they are about to like perform, but he kind of altered their band like logo flyer and everything, because their band is called Death Crunch, and he put on there about something about satanic this and satanic that. Well, his mom found the paper and does not want him to go, but he does it anyway by hopping on his bike and just riding off, to her dismay. The band performs, and they perform really nice and everything, right? But the jock, he's not done with them yet. He literally tells Dylan to like, sacrifice this cat, since you all about worship and all about sacrificing and bloodletting and stuff like that. And he even gives him a knife and a cat. Dylan is scared and does not want to do it, but Judah's all like, do it for me. And so he's succumbing to peer pressure, right? So it's like, what the heck? So he lets the cat go, and he decides he's not going to do it. But then the craziest thing happens. When he comes home, he has blood on him, and they show where it's from. He drew a pentagram into his hand, and that's where the blood came from. But then something happens to him where he freaks out and breaks everything and leaves. And this is the part where he kind of is a suspect for something. See, I haven't gotten to this part yet. The paranormal freaky stuff. So his mom's been freaking out. She's having nightmares of her son gonna come in and kill them and stuff like that, right? Well, before that even happened, something weird happened. The earth started to shake and the sky turned red. And that was in the middle of the episode, and it was never explained until you get more towards the end. When the mom is talking to the dad, it's almost like something's coming over her and everything. But then nothing happens. But then when she goes down into the basement and she sees that her son has wrecked everything, something freaky happens. Something has grabbed a hold of her and slinging her around like the room and dragging her by her feet. It is something invisible and we cannot see it. Then it lifts her on her in the air. She's levitating with her arms sticking out in the sky, is illuminating the room red, and they're the bright red light shining almost like their eyes. And then it throws her on the back of like a coffee table made of glass. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, so there is a paranormal, like, supernatural thing going on in this show. But what the heck is it exactly, right? So by this time, Judith came home to her mom crying, her super religious mom, who hates satanic stuff and rock bands. But then the boy she was with, his body was found dead. Now, as for Dylan, it makes it look super suspicious for him because he's riding in the middle, or he's walking or riding in the middle of the night, and the cop stops him, right? The sheriff. And of course, he wrecked his room. His mom is laying in a glass table, and he has a pentagram carved into his hand and blood dripping from his hand, making it look highly suspicious that all this satanic like music and stuff like this is affecting him and turning him bad and causing him to do this bad stuff. Now, the sheriff is played by Bruce Campbell, Sheriff Dan Dridd and everything. And he's just trying to figure out what the heck is going on, what happened to the missing kids, stuff like that. He doesn't have a comedic role whatsoever. He's very serious in this. And, you know, it's nice to see Bruce Campbell in something serious because I mostly only see him in comedic stuff. Now, I have seen him in some serious stuff, like Briscoe County Jr. And, like, you know, he's done tons of movies where he's serious. But a lot of people seem to think he only is a one-note actor, but he's not. He can actually has range of acting. It's just you have to watch whatever project is in. Like even his comedy is not always the same. Like if you're watching like anything with the Evil Dead or him playing Autolycus on Hercules and Xena or Jack of All Trades, then he has that one type of comedic element. But then if you watch him in Black Friday, his comedic acting is completely different in that. So this is really interesting. It took a while for the pacing because the pacing is slow because they do some world building when it comes to Dylan. We don't know too much about his best friends. Like Spud is just a happy-go-lucky person who's his friend. Jody is the golf girl who has a crush on him. Judith is not who you think she is. You think she's like super nice and stuck up, but she's into like all that satanic stuff. Her friend is like a jock bully, but Dylan is the one who was kind of unexpected the most, other than like Judith, because like you wasn't expecting him to act the way he did towards like the end of the episode. So it's kind of like, what is going on with him? Is he being possessed by whatever grabbed his mom, or like is he just going through the motions of puberty and everything and tired of people not accepting him for who he is and treating him a certain way, so he's taking some initiative, you know what I'm saying? Only time will tell, and hopefully I can get like some type of discount on Peacock because I want to watch the rest of this show, but I am not spending $8 on it. That wasn't that spooky. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.